In the 19th century, when photography emerged as a new language of truth, it came with grain and light leaks, flaws we now romanticize as authentic. But back then, they were just accidents. Users learned to trust not what was perfect, but what felt real. The flicker in a film reel, or the static on an old radio, weren't distractions. They became part of the story. Fathers once called photography's capacity for emotional jolt the punctum, a detail that pierced the viewer. Today, software in Benjamin noted that modern media forms, film, photography, radio, were all shaped by their material conditions. But now those conditions are no longer physicals, they're algorithmics. What once emerged from the friction of celluloid and light is now injected via code. Filters don't just make things look old, they make things feel like something a person would have created. It's a simulation of humanity, not of reality. And we buy into it because we've been trained to associate these signs with realness.
The Alchemists of Sound 2003 at Tree stands as a seminal work in experimental audiovisual art, masterfully synthesizing analog synthesis with poetic narrative to explore the unseen.
In digital music production, a common setting is called MIDI humanization. It adds random timing and velocity variations to perfect sequences, faking the natural imperfection of human performers. But this isn't just aesthetic. It's an admission. Machines can't feel, so we code feeling into them. Roland Barthes said signs undo us when we explore how they work. Now, algorithms do that for profit. What begins as a trick to make music sound more human becomes the standard by which we judge authenticity itself. Barthes also wrote that a text is that, has been evidence of a real human moment. But now, our systems produce the opposite simulations that have never been anywhere at all. They mimic not just form, but memory itself. These aren't fakes in the old sense. They're forgeries with no original to counterfeit. Perfect phantoms in a world where trust is no longer earned, only rendered.
This one is a sonar transmitter and receiver board. And around here we have the sonar board and the main drive board. And around here we have the voice synthesis board and one of the other sensor boards here.
Okay, and mainly you use Hero as a training robot, as an educational robot, right?
Yes, he's designed to be used by the student in the laboratory to study
Okay,
robotics.
well, George, thanks so much, and now we'll go back to Gary.
The arms race between detection and deception is not just a technical struggle. It's cultural warfare over what we are willing to believe in. The more convincing synthetic media becomes, the harder it is for our brains to distinguish artifice from reality. Postman warned us that technopoly deprives us of the basis for knowing what is beyond belief. But now his warning feels like a live wire in the system. Detection tools must keep pace with deepfakes, misinformation campaigns, and algorithmically generated voices can be fabricated. In the early days of automation, robotic arms in California orchards were programmed to pluck apples, but something went wrong. The machines began placing perfectly round plastic fruits into bins alongside real ones. When imitation becomes indistinguishable from reality, trust collapses into paranoia. The fake apples were a microcosm for today's synthetic media crisis. How do we decide what is authentic when everything can be simulated? In both cases, the problem wasn't just the fakes. The more those same systems are trained by data that includes fakes, it's a loop of recursive deception, a system trying to find truth in a space where truth has been eroded by its own tools. This isn't just a feedback loop. It's an existential crisis for trust itself. When detection becomes part of the algorithmic infrastructure of deception, we're left with no objective ground from which to stand. The battle over authenticity is no longer about identifying fake. It's about deciding what counts as real in the first place. Instagram filters that simulate film grain are not nostalgia tools, they're trust tools. They create the illusion of sincerity in a world where sincerity is optional. These visual cues signal to our brains, this moment was real enough for someone to take seriously. And if you're scrolling through your feed at 2 a.m., wondering why nothing feels genuine anymore, this might be why. We've trained ourselves to accept fakeness as a kind of authenticity, a shortcut in the algorithmic age where trust is no longer earned but engineered.